Right, let's get rid of everything here because we are not going to need that. And since we have finished with our networking, now we can create a view model that is going to control our content view. Actually, since we are here, let's quickly refactor and rename this to main view. All right, and also the nodes here. So this is our main view, selected, Command N. We are going to create a new Swift file. I'm going to call this main view model. This will be the model that will control our view. So we are going to create a final class, main view model, which conforms to observable object protocol, and that's it. So our main view model is going to be the model of our main view. So everything is going to will happen in our main view model, and then our main view is going to take care of only the view part of our code. So here we are going to fetch our total data, fetch all the countries, so that our main view can show. If I go back to ready application, so we're going to fetch the data available here, and then our main view is going to present it. So let's create an initializer here, and our initializer is going to call two functions. Every time our view appears here, we need to fetch the data for all the total data, and then we need to fetch the list of all countries available. So let's write the two functions here. Say func fetch total data, right, and func fetch all countries. Okay, these are the two functions. Every time we initialize our model, we want to call them. So I'll say fetch total data and then fetch all countries. Okay. Apart from that, we need some parameters to pass to our main view. So it will be our total data that we are going to fetch back, an array of all countries that again we are going to fetch from our API. And also, if you look at here, we will have our search text, if it's visible, the search bar or no. And we want also to show some alerts. So I'm going to say at published var total data. And this is going to be something, a type of total data. I want to set some defaults here so that we can pass to our parameters here. So if we go to our model for total data, for example, and here we can set some static let dummy data, and we're going to just create some dummy data from our total data confirmed. Let's set to 0, the 0, activity 0, and this 0.0. So we have this dummy data, we can use it. So here I would say that this is equals to total data dot dummy data. So in this case, we have just some kind of total data that by default it's equals to this. In case if we don't fetch anything from our API, we can show something to our user. Then I have another published var all countries, and this is going to be an array of country, and by default we are going to set it to an empty array. Then we have another published var search text, and by default is going to be equals to an empty string, and another published var is search visible, and by default it's going to be equals to false, and this is basically checking if this search field is visible. So every time we click this button, we are toggling this boolean, it's visible or invisible, right? And the last thing is published var alert item, and we are going to set up some kind of alerts. I'm going to call this alert item, and it's going to be an optional, but this doesn't exist yet. I will create this alert item a little bit later. I'm just going to comment it out so we have it ready here. So let's look into our two functions we want to call. So what we want to do here is actually exactly the same thing that we were doing while we were testing the functions of our network call. On appear, we were calling functions there. So we're going to do the exactly same thing here. So I will say API service shared, and we want to fetch total data here. So I will say fetch total data, and we will get back result. And we do a switch statement on it, on result. And remember, we have success and failure cases. Let's just ask Xcode to autocomplete it for us. So in case of success, we are getting let all data variable. Again, this variable you can call anything you want, where just in this case I'm getting the all data, I'm calling it all data, so it's easier for me to remember. Then with failure, we don't have to actually have a variable, so underscore is what we need here. And I will put a note here, maybe a to do, create error, not an error, an alert item. All right, so in case of success, what we need to do is whatever we fetch from our API, we want to set the variable to that. So I will say self.total data is equals to, not all data here, we need actually total data. All right, so once we set the value of our variable here, since it's a published object, it will automatically publish whoever is listening to our main view model that there was some change in the specific variable. So it will redraw the view. We need to actually do something here. I will just say print error total data just for now until we create our alert there. But before we can move forward, remember, whenever we set the value of the total data, this thing is going to update our user interface. So imagine the user has opened the view here, and at the beginning we have no data. So we are passing the dummy data, which says 0 confirmed cases, 0 active cases, etc. And once the data is available, our user interface is updated. So whenever the user interface is updated, we want to do this on main thread. So here, every time we change something to our total data or to our alert, which is eventually is going to show a user interface item, we want to do it on the main thread. So what I'm going to do is select this switch statement, move it a little bit indented, and then I will say dispatch queue dot main dot async, and the code here we will put inside our switch statement will be on our main queue. So every time we update something, we are on the main queue. So I'm going to copy this, paste it in fetch all countries, and instead of fetching total data here, I will say fetch all regions, and then again our completion will have a result, and in case of success it's going to be all countries, and then we want to set our variable all countries here. So self all countries is equal to all countries, and again because by setting this variable it will trigger a refresh which will show the data here, which is a UI change. We want to do it on the main thread. That's why we are using dispatch queue async and we are jumping to main. There is one extra thing we want to do here, because the list of all countries, as you can see, let's go to regions. When I am getting the results, it's not actually structured in any way. So we would like to sort them out and put the countries alphabetically like I have here. So in order to do that, we will just say all countries, and we will say sort by, and curly braces here. We're going to sort every item. So $0 is smaller than $1.name. So we'll take every item and check if the name alphabetically is before the second item name, and then it will be sorted automatically. So our view model here is ready. Just get rid of the extra spaces here, and same with this one. And the alert we are going to do later. Now if I jump back to my main view, here we can initialize a view model. So I will say this is going to be observed object, private var observed view model is equals to our main view model, and we're going to initialize this. For some reason it doesn't autocomplete. All right, I forgot to put the T here, object. Okay. So remember, every time we initialize our view model, our initializer calling these two functions automatically. And once the fetching is done, we set the two parameters, which in its turn redraws our UI. So that's why once we initialize our view model, the process starts to update our user interface. So let me update my view here, and now let's look into our ready application and we start building it. So if we check, we are in a navigation view. So let's start from that. I'm going to get rid of the text here, and instead we say navigation view, and then we have a background. Our background is a gradient, linear gradient with two colors that goes from some kind of red to a blue. If I go here, it's actually the same background here, so you can see how it transitions from the red to blue. So we are going to use a Z stack so that we can put our background behind and whatever we have here on the front. So we say Z stack, and then we need to actually put some alignment, and this is going to be top, and on the top the Z stack, the first thing on the all the way back is our linear gradient, and we are going to pass the colors where it starts and where it ends. The colors is array of colors, so just hit enter, and I'm going to pass the colors here. Then starting point, as you can see here, the starting point is top left and the end point is bottom right. In our case, it's going to be like top leading, because there is the leading edge, depending on the language the iPhone is set, the leading may be on the right or on the left side. So the top leading is the start point, and end point is bottom trailing. Okay, and we will have two colors here. You can have as many as you want, but I'm going to use two colors. So say color with RGBA, and my red is going to be 0.76, green is 0.15, and blue is 0.26. So we have one color, and then just comma. I'm going to copy this, paste, remove the second comma. And in this case, we have a red of 0.01. The green is going to be 0.23. And the blue is 0.5. So this is our linear gradient, and we want to make it full screen. So I'm going to put the parameter dot ignore safe area. And now you can see that our background is really full screen. All right, so this is the background, and then we are going to build the rest of the view here. So we have like a title, we have a text, some views here, and then we have another text and a list here. So let's start from the title. So I'm going to create put everything in a V stack, alignment leading, and my V stack will have a text of world total, and this is going to have a font of title 2. Let's make it bold. Then we want to put a foreground color to be white and some kind of padding to let's say 10 points.